Hello, everyone, Move, Think, Smile followers, and everybody in the Move, Think, Smile Fatigue Free Professional Group. Adam and Elea here coming at you live on this wonderful, wonderful morning, and we're here to talk about something very interesting. We've had a lot of people asking us some questions, and it really comes down to the question they keep asking us over and over again is, what can I do to achieve elite performance with my career, with my business? How do I be successful? How do I really reach success? Like what is the secret to success, which is what all of us are always striving for, right? So many of us are out there looking for that magic pill. And here's what I can tell you, having gone through multiple businesses, starting them from scratch, growing a business isn't easy. Starting a career, starting a profession, it isn't easy, right?
Yeah.
I've started a lot of businesses, in just about every industry you can think of, anything from manufacturing to retail to services to product development to marketing to digital to lots of different businesses out there. And what I've learned is, each time when you're starting from zero, whether you're changing a career or where you're starting a new business, there's always failures. There's always a lot of failures, right, Elia? And I
Yeah.
think, when we're successful, you've got to look at what are really the keys to that success. And what's really interesting is, we keep getting this question is like, how do I get there? Right. How do I achieve those results? How do I get successful without sacrificing my health or without sacrificing my family? How do I have my cake and eat it too, I guess is one way to put it.
Yeah.
And look, guys, the process is super simple. There's nothing easy about it. And today, Ellen and I are going to really take you through the 5 steps to claiming victory in business. And we kind of call this Success 101. And the main difference is action. Like if you stopped right now and you did not watch the rest of this episode, action. That is the one word that you can leave with today. The main difference between those that dream about great health, dream about having an adventurous, fun life, and dream about having a successful career or business, but those who actually succeed in all 3 of those areas is action. And so what we're going to do right now is we're going to dive into, let's just get in here, Ellie, and let's start with, number 1, the first action step to being successful, to claiming victory and having a successful career or business is, well, it's know where you're going and what's actually going to get you there. And the
Yeah.
first step about this is know where you're headed now. If you stay on the path that you are now, because if you're watching this, you probably haven't achieved the health, the energy, you haven't achieved the results that you want with your career or business. Life could be better. There's more out there, but you're just not getting it. And if you stay on that path, where are you going to go? And then you have to actually say, what's the destination that I do want? This is kind of like a small exercise in goal setting, but what is it you really want? What is it you really want from your career? What is it you really want from your business? What is it you want? And then you got to understand what's going to get you there. And this is kind of a level of prioritization, isn't it, Elia?
It is. It is. And I think, the most important thing too, though, is so many of us are already in a lot of action, right? We're taking so much action. We're so busy. And what's so key is understanding as you look at the prioritization is it's like, what actions are you taking? And if you're continuing to take the same ones over and over, but not getting the results you want, you're not taking the right action, right?
Yep.
And this is so simple that it kind of drives you nuts, right?
Yeah.
It really does, because it's like when someone says, well, take action, and you're like, I am taking action, like
Yeah.
I'm taking so much action. So this is where a lot of times you have to step back, step away from being right in the middle of everything and really take a look at, okay, what is the strategy that I'm using?
Well, what's interesting is it's not about the strategy. It's really about know where you're going. It's like, and if you don't know where you want to go, you're never going to get there.
Yeah.
Or if you know where you want to go, but you're on the wrong path, you're never going to get there. So there's in the grand scheme of life, there's basically 4 things. You've got your career. We're going to call that money. You've got your family. You've got fun, and then you've got your health. And most people will prioritize them in that order: money, family or fun, and then health at the bottom.
Yeah.
And what ends up happening is, well, they start joining this group because all of a sudden they're tired, right? They're not making the forward momentum they are. They have brain fog during the day. I just talked to somebody who was like, yeah, I was giving a presentation the other day and I just couldn't remember the next word to say. Like, I just couldn't. And, you know, when it starts happening repetitively, or like, I can't remember, I can't focus, I don't have the motivation, I am having trouble making that leap forward. I've got this great idea for this business I want to do. I actually talked to a lady last night. She has an amazing idea for writing this book about a special needs child, her son. And it's like talking to her, it's like, I know she could do really well with it, but she knows she's stuck. She knows she's stuck. So it's really, you got to know, she kind of understands the destination, but she doesn't really understand. It's like, okay, I want to write this book and I want to tell the story, but she doesn't really understand what's on the other side of that destination. You've got to really know the destination. And what's going to get you there is going to be your health. So you've got to reprioritize things. You've got to take, and this is really weird because I battled this for a long time. And I put my money, my business, my focus all on the career, thinking that was the number one thing I needed to pay attention to every minute of my life, every minute, because I wanted to, I had this idea of where I wanted to go, but it wasn't the right path. The right path was to put my health first and make my health non-negotiable, and really just saying, what do I need to do in order to reach where I want to go? So you've got to know your destination. It's kind of like thinking of it like, you know, Ellie and I like to say, you know, we're into a lot of things, but we really like obstacle courses and we like doing racing on those. And so you got to think of it as kind of like having a course that you're getting on with a true clear cut finish line. And you're not, you know, the course is going to weave in and out. Obstacles are going to pop up here and there, and some are going to be tough and some of them are going to be easy, but you're going to get out there and you're going to be able to conquer them all because you're on fire. You're feeling good. You're feeling strong. You're feeling healthy. Does that make sense, Elia?
Yeah, and one thing I wanted to add in there is really just being committed to the version and the vision of yourself that you're becoming that reaches that destination versus being more committed to your past self. Mm-hmm. And that might sound a little wonky, but you know, so many people I talk to can absolutely, with perfect detail, verbalize who they've been, the problems, where they're stuck, but they can't see the person they want to become. And that's because they're so blocked by what has been happening that they can't even see the destination. So that's really, really key, is be more committed to who you are becoming than who you have been in the past.
Right. And I like how Joe DeSena puts it. He, you know, he's the founder of the Spartan race. If you know, those mud runs, those crazy ones, one of the most grueling, difficult ones on the planet for sure. And the way he puts it is like, you know, you got to treat your business or your career like a race. Yeah. And he says, you know, you've got to have a clear plan to get there. You got to have a clear finish. And he calls it finding your true north. So this is almost like your purpose, right? Mm-hmm. And I really like how he puts that. And he says, then you got to program this into your company's GPS or to your career GPS, whatever it is. You know, it helps you stay on the productive path. It helps you stay on the traveled road to success. And, you know, you've really got to get in there and ask yourself the tough questions early on and set your destination. So that's really important.
I love that too, that he's like saying, ask yourself the tough questions, right? Because a lot of times we do have to get really clear on why we want to be at that destination and how we're going to get there and what could be the possible things that could block us. Because, I mean, let's face it, we have more choice, more options, more things at our fingertips than we ever have before, which is an incredible blessing. And at the same time, it can turn you into just feeling like you want everything. And you're like, oh, I want to be over here. No, I want to go there. No, I want to go here. No, I want to go there. And next thing you know, your energy is scattered. You're trying to be too many things at one time. And again, you don't reach your destination because your destination is like 15 places.
Right. So there are three types of people here, right? Those people who know their destination, but are on the wrong path. So those are people who are putting family and money first above themselves. And it's like the old analogy. It's like if you're in an airplane and the oxygen masks drop, if you don't put your mask on first, you can't help anybody else out there.
Yeah.
Right. So you've got to put your health first. It sounds counterintuitive, but actually by doing that, you get the energy and the health to make those other things and have more positive impact in those areas. So that's the first type of person, someone who knows their destination, but they just can't get there because they're on the wrong path. Then you have people who are on the right path, but just don't have a destination. Right. And so, there's the health nuts out there, but there's so many people that are healthy that just aren't making any forward progress because they really haven't set their purpose or found their true north, as Joe likes to say. And then there's the worst. This is the worst. These are the most dangerous people. And this is what we see more and more often. People without a destination and without a path, or they're on the wrong path. So those are people who have basically, it's like, yeah, everybody wants to earn more money. Everybody wants more vacation time. Everybody wants this, everybody wants that. But they don't really have a concrete destination. They don't really know where they're going. They're just living on autopilot, like a lot of our clients talk about. It's like, I'm just doing the same thing over and over again, kind of like Bill Murray's Groundhog Day, waking up at the same alarm clock, to the same people, the same thing, doing the same thing. Oh, it's like, and I've just lost my passion for everything. Like things aren't horrible, but just things aren't fun anymore either. And so so you got to ask yourself which one of those and do what you need to do to recorrect that.
Yep.
And then number 2, the second action is you've got to take that first step.
Yes.
Once you create your race and you've got your finish line, you got your destination, you know where you're going, you've got to take that first step. Elea, you've got some great stuff on this.
Well, and then you have to keep taking steps, right? And I'm a huge proponent of building momentum. And taking that first step and then taking the next steps right afterwards, that really helps you build the momentum. And I want you guys to think about this like anything, like learning a new sport or learning a new skill. The more times you can expose yourself to learning that skill in a short block of time, the quicker you're going to pick it up than if you say you want to learn tennis, but you only go to a lesson once every couple of months. It's going to take you a really long time to learn, to get the momentum, to get things moving. And so really it's about just taking that next step. And with so many people in this group, and of course everyone in our program, overwhelm is a huge thing, right? It's just everything feels overwhelming. There's so much to do. And so just taking the next right step or the next forward step is also a way to really combat that overwhelm. It's like, okay, I know there's a lot of stuff out here I have to do, but right now in this next hour, I just take the next step.
I mean, if you think about it, even you go back centuries, right, to Lao Tzu, right? And he says the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. If you don't get out there and get started, nothing is going to happen. And as Joe, Jacinta says, you got to suit up and show up. You've got to take action. It doesn't matter how big that first step is, but you've got to take a step forward towards the destination that you want. Each step might be a little bit different. As your GPS guides you this way, then it guides you this way, then there's an obstacle, so you can't really follow that GPS. So you got to figure a way to get around that obstacle or over the obstacle so the GPS can get back on mark for you, right? And I think that really kind of leads into number 3, and that is stop pursuing perfection.
Yeah.
You've really got to get out. Nothing's perfect, guys.
Yeah.
Pursuing perfection, it's the thief of progress. It is totally the thief of progress. And if you're trying to be perfect, it's just not going to work. You're going to make mistakes. This is called evolution. This is how our computers have gotten better, right? Because we've learned, we build upon. This is how our cars are slowly getting better with electricity. This is how our medicine is getting slowly better, right? We're evolving. This is how we're living longer. This is how we're cramming more stuff in a day. It's how we're processing more information. We're thinking about developing time-traveling wormholes. I mean, that may not be too far off in the future. We'll get there. But stop pursuing perfection. When it comes to your business, you've got to take action.
I think one thing, too, that can be really tricky is when we don't think we're shooting for perfection. And one of the telltale signs that you are, but you don't realize it, is that you overthink everything. Mm-hmm. You're overthinking, you're looping stuff in your mind, you're trying to weigh out kind of the best strategy. Because, a lot of times perfectionism can kind of operate in sneaky ways, right? And can kind of keep us from making that forward progress. And so, I always wish it's like you get a certificate upon birth that just kind of says, you're going to mess this up, but it's going to be okay, right? Like you're still going to turn out okay. You're going to completely mess this up, but you're still going to turn out okay. Yeah. And just really like having the permission to show up with those first steps being wobbly, being, awkward, being, not how you would have liked, but you're there, right?
Yeah, nobody does life perfectly. Nobody does business perfectly. I cannot tell you the number of people with very successful businesses, very successful careers who are so not perfect, but they've taken a lot of action. They've taken that step. right? They set their destination. They took that step. They stopped pursuing perfection. Like, oh, I've got to have the right typeface and the right title. And oh my gosh, I've got to make sure that this is set up in my email responder. And I've got to make sure that this is set up with my employees. And I got to make sure that this is set up. And oh my gosh, I haven't got my subscription right to whatever. And it just goes on and on and on. Oh yeah, and I got to make sure I read that article first that just came in my email box because I want to make sure I'm fully prepared so I can get out there and I can do whatever it is I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you the number of times like that even that little email, it's like, oh, that's a great email. I can't wait to read that. And you never read it and you never take that first step because your first step is bound by you reading that freaking email.
Yeah. That's so true. And I think that was a huge shift for me too, that when I realized I was putting all this pressure on myself to be like the perfect business owner and to like get it right and to prove all of this stuff, I think me allowing myself to kind of gather more data and look at the successful business owners who were very, very imperfect. They didn't get it right. They didn't have all the answers, but they were just, which we're going to talk about later, but they were just so committed to their skill of being in the process.
Yes.
And not, the end result that was, such a huge shift. And so I thought, well, if they can run this business and have it be successful and be, still kind of messy on the back burner, well, why can't I? Why can't I create that? And so again, really looking at other people and instead of turning it to a comparison game or worrying about their steps is to just say, well, if they can do it, why can't I?
Yeah.
Right?
No, absolutely. Absolutely. It's embracing your mistakes.
Yep.
That's just one way to put it. It's like, instead of pursuing perfection, embrace your mistakes. It's cool. It happens. We all make the mistakes. I cannot tell you the mistakes and the faux pas I made with the first businesses. I can't tell you about all the times that I've screwed up and have just done things completely wrong, but I've learned and I've evolved, and it's really huge. And that leads us into number 4, and that is, Elea, that's really commit to victory. And it sounds so simple, but so many people don't do this because they let their emotional attachments. And if you guys have been following this very long, we really talk a lot about how every experience you have produces an emotion, and every emotion produces a chemical reaction in the brain. And if you experience an emotion long enough, your body actually becomes addicted to it, and your brain looks to reaffirm that addiction, even though the emotion might be horrible. It could be anger or rage, or it could be self-despair, or it could be depression or anxiety. So what people do is they end up committing to their victimhood. This is a big difference. They end up committing to their victimhood, and they end up committing to not making forward progress because, okay, you can set your destination, you can take a step, you can embrace your mistakes and not pursue perfection. But if you don't commit to victory, you're going to self-sabotage and you're going to give up. You're going to get off course, and pretty soon you're just going to walk back to the starting line and say, I'm not even going to take this course on. You're just going to stop. So,
I think, I was going to say, the commit to victory is really that decision that no matter what pops up and how valid those obstacles are, right?
Yeah.
So many of us have obstacles in our life that are completely valid, that people would say, well, I wouldn't blame you if you wanted to give up on that. I wouldn't blame you. Like, look at what you have against you, or look at what's there. Like, the reality is you don't have X, Y, Z. You don't have this much in your bank account to make, this next business decision or to do this or do that. So the reality is you can't do it, right? We see these like things outside of us that seem so real that are saying, no. But the thing is, we have to, when we commit to our victory, we commit to being resourceful. We commit to finding the way, up, over, around, under, through, the obstacle. We realize there's a lot of ways to work around this versus just accepting that there's this big obstacle in our path and, well, I can't move it. Sorry. Oops, I don't have a backhoe or whatever it is.
Right. So guys, you got to understand. And you've heard this, happiness is not a destination, it's a journey and all that kind of stuff. The real joy isn't really finishing the race or even winning the race, right? It's all in the hard work that gets you there. And business is the same way. Your career is the same way. You want to reach your goals, but you've got to love the process, right, Elea?
Yeah. So, I know this is not something new, probably that you've heard, gotta love the process, but The thing is, we have to be reminded of that all the time because it's just so easy to get so wrapped up in wanting that end result, wanting that end result. And then we gauge our worth on the end result. And that's just a really slippery slope and a backwards way to go about it. So I really noticed that I had a massive shift in my own energy and felt so much more energetic when I stopped focusing so much on the end result in the sense of, am I going to win or lose? Yeah. And I said, how can I respect for myself for how I'm showing up during this process? How I am showing up in these daily moments, these hours, this next step, and the fact that I'm continuing to move forward, even though it's messy.
Yeah, and I want everybody who's watching this right now, or if you're watching at a later time, you're watching a replay, to type down in the comments, are you really committed to victory, or have you ever been committed, even if you didn't mean to be, committed to victimhood? Yeah. Basically, I can't do this because your story is I can't do this because of this. So there's a blame going out there. You're holding something outside of you, something externally is actually conquering you. So basically, your environment is controlling you. How many of you, raise your hand, you can just put yes in the box down below. How many of you are victims of letting your environment control you? I'll be the first one. I'm there.
Absolutely. Yeah. Especially the danger is when that environment is so convincing. Like I said, there's a really legitimate, sane reason looking at you, looking back at you.
Right.
And again, just realizing, hey, that's cool. And I'm still committed to moving forward.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So that victory part is so simple. And the other way to put it is keep your eye on the prize, right? Mm-hmm. And the only way to commit to the victory is you got to become on top of your game. You got to be on top of your game. You've got to become an elite performer. And, we're actually going to be changing the name of this group here in the next 24 hours or say from the fatigue-free professional. And we're really going to start focusing on elite performance. And we don't mean it as Spartan Race, guys. We mean with life. We mean with your career. We mean with your health, because that's what everybody wants. Everybody wants to perform at a high elite level. And we're learning more and more that while fatigue, energy is really kind of the underlying factor of all that, the result that you want is that it's not that you want to stop being tired. It's that you actually want to achieve something with the energy that you get back. Right? And the only way you can do that is you've got to know what your victory is. You've got to keep your eye on the prize. You got to be top of your game. And so, if you stay optimistic, you got to be careful here. You'll preserve and eventually succeed. But I do want to throw out there something about the difference between positive thinking, right, and positive believing. There's a big difference there. Positive thinking is forcing a positive thought when things are crappy. Right?
For a lot of people, yeah.
Yeah. And for a lot of people. And forced positive thinking is not positive thinking, as Elea likes to say. It totally isn't. So you've got to be able to get out there and you've got to start changing your mindset into believing positive possibilities. And there are a lot of that's like a 4-hour discussion right there we could dive into. So once you've committed to victory, and guys, we've learned this time and time again on the obstacle course. And I've learned this time and time again with different careers. Been in corporate. I had a landscaping company one time. I did all this other stuff. And one thing I've learned, and it didn't hit me till, I don't know, maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago. And that is, don't do it alone. Right? Yeah. What I'm saying is there are people, like we've got someone on our program right now, complete badass guy, right? He's got an amazing background in things he's accomplished, things he's doing now, things he's conquered with people and events in his life and health issues and things like that. And we had a discussion last night and he talks like, I really just like to do things alone. I just really, but that's why you feel so left out. So don't get confused with you like to be independent with being alone. They're two different things. Mm-hmm. So if you like to be I'm an independent guy. Yeah. I really like to just kind of like have my quiet space. I like to do my things. I interact when I feel like interacting. I'm kind of like half introvert, half extrovert. It depends on the day. Sometimes I'm very introverted and some days I'm very extroverted. And I'm cool with that. I'm happy with that. But I'm an independent guy. But I also really relish in very tight, close connection. So I know I'm not alone. Mm-hmm. And that stems back to my childhood. And That's another 4-hour discussion we could get into, but I'm not going to right now. But don't do it alone. It's really, really important that you have people that are on the same path with you. And it doesn't matter if it's a giant team, because if you've ever done a Spartan race, ever one of them, it doesn't matter. There's always that one obstacle you come up to and you're like, this is tougher than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Even though if you've done it before, maybe this time you're wet and muddy, or maybe this time they've got it on a hill, so the wall's, it's slanting backwards and you need help getting over it. You try and try and try. And all of a sudden somebody comes out of nowhere and says, hey, let me give you a boost over that thing. And you're like, thank you. I'm so glad I'm not doing this by myself. And I'm so glad. So you try to be independent. That's cool, courageous. You couldn't do it, but don't do it alone. You've got to find out, you got to get some type of support system, some type of accountability, some type of something to make sure that's going to help you when you fall on your face, because you are going to fall on your face, aren't you, Elea?
Yeah, you are. And I think, the other thing is just really realizing how having a support system, it just makes you be able to move through that much faster.
Yeah.
Right. I think about our last business, and if we would have stopped trying to be the heroes and stopped trying to go it alone and just said, hey, we need help, we need support, like let's find other people that are struggling with the same thing we are, and let's find a way out. Instead, we just isolated, which is a classic stress response, right? It's classically when we're stressed, we want to tend to isolate. We kind of shut down and hole in. And the funny thing is you need to do the exact opposite. When you want to hide away like that with stress is actually when you need to reach out for help the most.
That's the crazy thing about fatigue and burnout. And it's really getting your energy back. And for those of you who are new to us, we both went through it. Elea's anxiety got so bad, she lost 30% of your body weight. It was really scary. They were testing her for neurological diseases. Thank God they all came back negative. She was so weak she couldn't carry a cup of water from the kitchen 10 foot to the couch. It was miserable. I went the other direction. I gained a bunch of weight. I was stress eating. I was drinking 12-pack on the porch, playing Candy Crush till 1 a.m, just trying to zone out, and just wasn't good. But that's the funny thing about stress is stress puts you into this spot where you feel like there's no hope and there's nobody out there.
Yeah.
Burnout puts you into this spot where it's like, this is just the way things are. Just the way things were meant to be. I can't move forward. I can't get out of this quicksand pit.
Yeah.
And guys, what we're here to say is if you feel like you're in quicksand, we're literally reaching our hands out to you right now. And all you got to do is grab it. And all you have to do is go over to movethinksmile.com/talk. Book a time on our calendar to speak with Elea or myself. And there's absolutely no obligation, no cost for the call, just so you know. And we'll get deep down to uncover what are the obstacles that are keeping you from, number one, knowing where you're going and getting on the right path to get there. Number two, taking that first step. Number three, to help you stop pursuing perfection and start embracing your mistakes. Yeah. Number four, it's get you out of that victim mentality, get you out of that I'm just the way it is, things are just the way they are, to committing to victory. And then number five, how, you can possibly take this journey, not have to be alone, and actually get to the finish line. Keep your eye on the prize. And we're not saying that you can't have doubts and fears. We all have them. We all have them. It's really learned how to take those doubts and fears and learning how to channel them to push you closer to your victory, that destination that you really want. Whether you want to, get out there and write this incredible book for your son, or you want to get out there and increase your income, or you want to become the C-level executive with a badass team of employees who are just doing everything just out of, it's like, oh my gosh, they're working and they're happy. It comes down to leadership skills. It comes down to elite performance qualities. It comes down to your health. And if you guys are super serious about integrating health and adventure back into your career or your business and really, making forward momentum pretty quickly, come over to movethinksmile.com/talk and book a call to chat with one of us. I mean, you really don't have anything to lose. It's one of the best 45 to 60 minutes that most people have spent on their lives in a long time. At least that's what they tell us. Isn't it, Elea?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really about looking at, something that hit me this morning that I think is very pertinent to what we just talked about, which is really looking at, instead of, so many people are hyper-focused on how do I fix this? How do I fix this problem? How do I get rid of this? How do I blah, blah, blah? Instead of fixing, it's like, how do I really just, integrate this obstacle into my life? How do I use this to make me stronger?
Mm-hmm.
I'm always using the analogy of like going to the gym and lifting weights. Like if you didn't have the weights, the resistance, how are you going to get the muscle? Right.
Yeah.
And so really not trying to just eliminate every obstacle that's in your life, because that's going to be exhausting and extremely difficult. It's about really turning you into this elite performance machine that can handle anything that comes your way.
Yeah. That's what it's about. So guys, come on over to movethinksmile.com/talk, book your call to speak to one of us. If you're listening to us on our podcast or on YouTube or for one of our pages, guys, come over to Facebook, just type in Move Think Smile. We've got a page. We've also got a closed group. It's public. It's a free group. And right now it's titled The Fatigue Free Professional, but you can type in Move Think Smile. You'll probably find it there as well. Join in, because then you'll get all the updates for our lives. You could join in. You can ask questions. We can support you there too. So guys, until next time, have a great day, and we'll see you soon on the next episode.
Bye, guys.